Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss a rather odd situation for British lorry drivers. Now, a Brexit consequence that has, I suppose in some ways surprised me. It shouldn't do, because it applies to everyone else. I just somehow thought that lorry drivers would somehow be different, and it could mean another serious problem for the haulage industry in the next few months, or maybe the pandemic tones it down and we don't see this problem until next year. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So it's going to be a rather short one, like really short. Wouldn't normally do something where I can barely get my teeth into it and then I stop. But this is just bizarre. I just couldn't get it out of my head. So that being said, not a lot of detail as such. It's just one of those things I think we should be aware of. Potentially hugely impactful Brexit consequence, which I'd not really been thinking about until now. So, do we remember when Priti Patel boasted about how we were going to be losing our freedom of movement thanks to Brexit? Oh, what a marvellous Brexit benefit it would be. I was saying for all this time, oh, name me a single Brexit benefit. And people went, Phil, the Home Secretary's just said we're going to lose our freedom of movement. Isn't that marvellous? Oh, how we cheered. Well, beyond the obvious downsides for literally every other business and worker that relies upon movement around Europe, there is one I'd have thought we'd have had some sort of system to exclude. I just thought, look, you can't have this. But no. So first of all, I mean, I wouldn't have believed. See, I saw this tweet and at first I thought, is that right? Is that actually true? Wouldn't necessarily have believed it under normal circumstances. And the thing is, it wasn't that it was totally outlandish. It was sort of in tune with Brexit. You could absolutely sort of believe it. But, you know, you browse social media, you see some things. Some are true, some are less true. Sometimes you get caught out by the things that are less true. This sounded a little bit mad, but it was in tune. But the author of the tweet was from a key member of the Road Haulage Association, Duncan Buchanan. At which point, essentially I just went, ah, right. And the fact that they're tweeting it not only means that this is the case, and it is, you know, when you look into it, because it's even on the government's website, but it's also an issue. Otherwise, why would they tweet it? This person doesn't tweet a lot, so when they're tweeting something, you imagine this is a serious issue, and it involves access to the EU. See, here's the thing. When the problem for performers, if we remember that, so we have a very good entertainment industry in Britain, certainly as far as Europe is concerned. And the problem for performers blew up, linked to the loss of freedom of movement. So they weren't going to be able to tour Europe anymore. You know, the Home Secretary was boasting about this loss of movement as if it was a great thing. And people asked, why did the government refuse the EU's offer for visas for performers? Because to begin with, the government was trying to say, oh no, the EU wouldn't allow it. No, we did. We offered it to you. You just wouldn't take it. And it would have helped our entertainment industry out no end. And someone asked me, I remember, saying, well, shouldn't they be okay, these performers, because you're allowed to stay in the EU for 90 days in every 180. So for half the year, as long as you can actually just stay visa-free in the EU for 90 days. Doesn't help you if you live there, although if you've lived there before the 1st of January this year, you can apply to stay. Hopefully you've already done that. But as a performer, you know, that means you can do a whole tour and it's all right, okay, isn't it? But that's really for travel. Because if you're getting paid for work, you need a work permit. So then I see this tweet from Mr. Buchanan saying that the 90 and 100 days limit applies to lorry drivers. Now, these guys are working in the EU. So really, you'd have thought there'd be some formal arrangement. I mean, kicking performers in the knackers is one thing, because the Conservatives, particularly the extreme Conservatives we have in charge now, aren't all that keen on the entertainment industry. They think it's full of liberals who constantly lampoon them. But they know we need haulage to maintain some semblance of trade. Buchanan also said that there was no visa solution for this. Now, this is both baffling, but at the same time, completely understandable, I guess. Because after all, the UK government has chosen that we should behave towards the EU like some far-flung nation across the other side of an ocean or two. And the thing about far-flung nations at arm's length from the EU, if those arms span thousands of miles, is they tend not to send many lorry drivers to the EU. You don't get a lot of lorries from Japan, for example, trying to get into the EU, although if they wanted to, they'd probably have better access than we have. So I imagine, yeah, I can accept that there isn't a visa system in place to deal with this situation, to accommodate lorry drivers under those circumstances, because everyone else immediately around the EU, everyone geographically close to the EU that might want to send a lorry there, even if not part of the EU, works with the bloc to ease trade barriers. I mean, Norway and Switzerland have recently just signed another agreement with the EU effectively to reduce trade barriers. We're doing the opposite. We have chosen to do the opposite. But it still seems incredible that we can get to a situation whereby a British lorry driver could be stopped at the border, not because there's a problem with their paperwork, that'll be fine. Not because there's a problem with their load, no, that's grand. Not because there's a problem with their lorry, but because there's a problem with them. They've clocked in 90 days in the EU within that particular half a year. Now, I don't know how likely this is to occur or for how many lorry drivers this could occur, or how accurately their time is being logged, because that's an issue. How accurately is their time in the EU being logged? But I guess if someone from the Road Haulage Association is mentioning it, it's considered a potential banana skin for the future. And all because the government didn't want to accept a reciprocal arrangement with the EU for mutual freedom of movement that would have wiped away this problem. But I mean, it's right there on black and white on the government's website. There are no visa arrangements for lorry drivers travelling into the EU. But, you know, you can't go there if you've already clocked up 90 days out of 180 and you need at least 6 months left on your passport, and it's all there on the government website. And I thought British lorry drivers probably had enough problems with time-consuming bureaucracy and checks and restrictive cabotage rules, so that means they can't just go to drop a load off in the EU, pick another one, go to somewhere else, drop another and so on, and do a little chain while they're in the EU. They're limited in terms of what they can drop off and pick up, how many stops type thing. Which of course makes them less efficient than an EU lorry driver. And I wonder if this is something that will be blowing up in our faces in the future. So pandemic restrictions, you could argue at the moment across Europe, mean trade has been naturally suppressed a little bit anyway. So what happens when that eases? And we try to trade more, only to find that we're getting loads stuck because all the normal stuff has been done. By then, we've learnt how to do the paperwork. I say we, poor buggers who've got to do it, have learnt how to do the paperwork. The paperwork's immaculate, even though those companies have had to pay a load of extra money for someone to do it. You know, the lorry's fine, registrations are fine, everything's fine, but nobody checked in that haulage company how long that particular driver had already spent in the EU, and the computer says no, sorry. But there it is, there's no need to go on. That's another consequence of the removal of freedom of movement that the government were crowing about, even though it's our freedom of movement that has been buggered. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.